What if the reason you keep repeating the same mistakes, the same relationships, the same self-sabotaging patterns has nothing to do with lack of discipline, lack of intelligence, or lack of motivation? What if the real reason is that a part of you, formed in childhood, is still silently running your life? Think about this for a moment. Most people wake up every day promising themselves they'll change. They'll be more confident. They'll stop procrastinating. They'll stop choosing the same toxic situations. They'll finally become who they know they could be. And yet, years go by. Different faces, different jobs, different cities, but the same emotional reactions, the same fears, the same inner resistance. If that feels familiar, this story is about you. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, believes something deeply unsettling. Most of our adult behavior is not guided by conscious choice, but by unconscious material formed in childhood. According to Jung, the psyche is not a unified structure. It is a system of parts, some visible, some hidden, some welcomed, and some violently rejected. Among these hidden parts, there is one that holds immense power over your life. Jung called it the shadow. The shadow is everything you learned you were not allowed to be. Your anger if you were punished for expressing it, your sensitivity if you were mocked for crying, your ambition if it made others uncomfortable, your need for love if it was met with rejection. None of these traits disappear. They are buried. And what is buried does not die. It waits. Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is not poetry. It is a psychological law. Your childhood wounds don't stay in childhood. They become internal programs. The child who learned that love was conditional becomes the adult who overworks, overpleases, or stays in unhealthy relationships. The child who learned that anger was dangerous becomes the adult who avoids confrontation and resents everyone silently. The child who felt powerless becomes the adult who seeks control or feels permanently anxious. The shadow does not want to destroy you. It wants to be seen. Jung believed the purpose of life was not happiness, comfort, or success. He believed the purpose of life was individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming whole, not perfect, whole. It is the lifelong journey of integrating the unconscious parts of yourself into conscious awareness, especially the shadow. This process is uncomfortable because it requires giving up the illusion that you are only the good parts of yourself. You are not only your kindness, you are also your aggression. You are not only your strength, you are also your fear. You are not only your morality, you are also your darker impulses. The goal is not to act them out blindly. The goal is to integrate them. A shadow that is integrated becomes a source of strength. A shadow that is denied becomes a source of self-destruction. Let me tell you a story. Daniel was 36 years old. From the outside, his life looked stable. Good job. Long-term relationship. No major disasters. But internally, Daniel felt constantly tense. He avoided conflict at all costs. He said yes when he wanted to say no. And every few years, without fully understanding why, he would sabotage his own progress. He would leave jobs right before promotions, end relationships when intimacy deepened, disappear emotionally when life demanded presence. Daniel described it as losing motivation, but Jung would have called it something else, a shadow reaction. Daniel grew up in a household where anger was dangerous. His father exploded unpredictably. His mother survived by staying silent. As a child, Daniel learned a powerful rule. If I express myself, something bad will happen. So he became agreeable, polite, invisible. That adaptation saved him as a child. But as an adult, it was destroying him. The anger he was never allowed to express didn't vanish. It went underground. And there it shaped his life. It showed up as passive aggression, as self-sabotage, as chronic anxiety, as a quiet resentment toward people who were more assertive. Daniel wasn't weak. He was split. Jung observed that the shadow reveals itself in predictable ways. One of them is projection. Whatever you cannot accept in yourself, you will see everywhere in others. If you deny your own selfishness, you will be surrounded by selfish people. If you deny your own aggression, you will feel attacked constantly. If you deny your own ambition, you will resent successful people. The shadow does not stay silent. It speaks through judgment. Another way the shadow controls you is through compulsion. You repeat behaviors you consciously want to stop. You enter the same emotional loops. You feel possessed by reactions that don't match your values. This is not because you are broken. It is because a part of you is unheard. Jung believed neurosis was often the psyche's attempt at self-healing. The symptom is not the enemy. The symptom is the message. The integration of the shadow begins with radical honesty. Not self-hatred, not indulgence. Honesty. You must be willing to ask questions most people avoid. What traits do I judge most harshly in others? What emotions do I suppress automatically? When do I feel irrationally triggered? What parts of myself do I fear acknowledging? Daniel began journaling, not to feel better, but to tell the truth. He wrote about his anger, about fantasies of confrontation, about resentment toward people who dominated conversations. At first, shame flooded in, but something else followed: relief. For the first time, he wasn't pretending to be someone he wasn't. Jung believed the shadow contains not only darkness, but vitality. When Daniel allowed himself to feel anger consciously, he didn't become violent. He became assertive. When he stopped repressing his need for boundaries, he stopped sabotaging relationships. What was once destructive became constructive. Jung emphasized that the child archetype never leaves us. Your adult personality is built on top of childhood adaptations. If you were rewarded for being quiet, you learned silence equals safety. If love was inconsistent, you learned anxiety equals attachment. If success brought envy, you learned to hide your potential. These strategies once protected you, but protection can become a prison. Individuation requires mourning. You must grieve the childhood you didn't have, the safety you lacked, the validation you missed. Only then can you stop trying to recreate the past in the present. Daniel realized he wasn't afraid of conflict. He was afraid of becoming his father. That realization changed everything. Jung warned that individuation is not for the faint of heart, because once you see yourself clearly, you can no longer hide behind excuses. But the reward is freedom. A person who has integrated their shadow is no longer easily manipulated. They are no longer controlled by unconscious guilt or fear. They no longer seek approval to feel real. They act from alignment. Not perfection, alignment. Daniel didn't become fearless. He became honest. He still felt fear, but it no longer ran his life. Here are concrete strategies inspired by Jung's work. 1. Write freely about emotions you judge in yourself. No censorship. 2. When something provokes a strong reaction, ask, what part of me is being touched? 3. What you dislike most in others may point to disowned traits in yourself. 4. Imagine the rejected part of you as a voice. Ask what it wants. 5. Therapeutic support. Jung believed individuation often requires guidance. You don't have to do this alone. Integration is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong process. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who your parents needed you to be. Not who society rewarded. Not who avoided pain, but who you actually are." Your traumas are not proof of weakness. They are the raw material of transformation. The shadow you fear holds the energy you are missing, and the moment you stop running from it, it stops controlling you. If this message resonated with you, don't let it remain just insight. Subscribe to the channel for deeper explorations into psychology, self-mastery, and inner transformation. Like this video if you felt seen. It helps this message reach others who need it. And comment below, what part of yourself have you been avoiding? Awareness is the first step toward individuation. Thank you for staying until the end. And remember, while the path to wholeness begins where avoidance ends,